Happy Devil's Thursday. This is the Woo Report. The Woo Report. The Morning Woo edition. Coming to you coming back live from the Primetime Radio Studios inside the bunker. Streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter Live, or X Live, Twitch, on the Let's Go Devils Network. What a podcast last night with Nick Villano of pucksandpitchforks.com and I talking to Chico Resch and Ken Danico. And once again, thank you to them for coming on to our podcast, taking out the time to talk about the 50 greatest New Jersey Devils of all time. And, it was a double punch of New Jersey Devils. Ken Danico being the Mr. Devil, he is, and Chico Resch being an original Devil, the ambassador of all New Jersey Devils players. Ted is in the YouTube Lives. There have been some great interviews lately on the Devils podcast out there. Oh, yeah. As we're twiddling our thumbs as the season is about to begin in about a few weeks from now, we're putting, right now that summer's almost over, that the Let's Go Devils podcast, we've got things lined up for this upcoming season, putting all the finishing touches. Some of it won't be ready by October 12th, but follow us. I mean, we just learned that Ken Danico last night revealed that he's going to be coming out with his own cigar. So we'll keep you posted on that. We talked to Ken after the podcast to keep us informed about it. Ken Danico was looking very radiant. I think the Genucell helps. And he's about to turn 60. So maybe we should throw him a big birthday party. I'll have to talk to him about that. Ted says, where does Eric Holla rank among all-time great Devils? You know what? I would put Curtis Lazar ahead of him only because Curtis Lazar actually eats the food that's out on the ice. Anyway, that's just a joke. Mark Schwab says, yeah, have you seen Chico and Nico talk some time ago? Was funny. I'm thinking he's referring to something this past season with the Chico and Nico bobblehead dolls and Chico and Nico. Yes, it was a Q&A play, says Mark. Anyway, so the national TV schedule came out. Devils going to be on national television, the broadcasts. The network's taking the maximum amount away from MSG Networks. MSG Networks, obviously Ken Danico and Bill Spalding, Erica Wachter and Bryce Salvador. For those national games, if the broadcast quality isn't there, what I normally do is I'm a geek like this, that I would have the national games on, unless MSG is simulcasting with them at the same time. But what I normally do is I would have it on ESPN or TNT, and if the broadcasters aren't doing it for me, I would literally, on a delay, sync up Matt and Chico with the play that's going on when these national games happen, and I'm not really liking the commentary. That's something I do. But, again, rather hear Spalding, rather hear Matt as well. Bill Spalding going into his second season. I thought he had a good rookie season. Matter of fact, as a broadcaster, he got stronger and stronger as the season went on. Mark says, at Sam, was it colder in Alaska? We had 30 plus Celsius in Switzerland, very hot. Now we have normal temperatures. It was hovering around, again, I don't know the metrics. I don't believe in the metric system. I don't like meters. I don't like liters. I like feet, and I like inches or miles versus kilometers, whatever. But it was about 59 to 70 degrees, so it's probably around 21 Celsius. The air was fresh. I actually told my wife this is what Switzerland is sort of like, because I have family in Switzerland, believe it or not, Mark, which now I'm incentivized because of Nico and Schmid and Meyer and who else is other, and Siegenthaler, that I need to go back to Switzerland. It's a beautiful country, and if you ever go to the casinos, they have the greatest casinos, because I actually won a lot of money there the last time I was there. Anyway, R. Nunez says that must be why Sam doesn't run 5K races. Not sure what you're trying to allude to. I have admitted on this podcast that I'm fat. I enjoy to be fat, and I'm getting fatter. Anyway, so national TV schedule. What I did see on the top of my head about the time changes. Opening night against Detroit Red Wings means from 7 p.m. start to 7:30 start. That was a good decision. Opening day, opening night, whatever you want to call it. It's on a Thursday. Getting that extra half an hour in of drinking, and also not having the pressure to try to beat traffic to get to Prudential Center, especially if you want to visit us here at American Whiskey, across the street from Prudential Center. You betcha we will have the big stage out. We're putting the finishing touches on the weatherproofing of the outside equipment in case it does rain. But the big stage coming back at American Whiskey, 51 Edison Place, across the street from Prudential Center, right next to Championship Plaza. So, yeah, so good things are happening. Again, I think the pressure and the spotlight will be on the New Jersey Devils. Record-breaking season, exciting. We talked about the goaltending last night with Chico, about Schmid, about Vitek Vanacek. We talked a little bit of Hellebuck. But in my opinion, I think the Devils should go with the first half of the season to really evaluate how good Vitek Vanacek and Schmid, how they are. At the same time, we talked about the reasoning is the development of Schmid, about sending him back to Utica to get the proper development, so to speak, without being under the microscope at all times. Shane Van Zickel says, Sam, hope you had fun on vacay. Enjoyed the updates you gave us while on it. Great dedication. Thank you, Shane. It wasn't easy because to carry that equipment around was probably the worst of it all. But we made it work. And it's also the same equipment we will be using when we're traveling with the team on the road. Putting together the road schedule. Kind of a procrastinator. But, yeah, I mean, that's what we do. We're Devils fans, right? We travel. We obsess about the team. We've got great friends of the podcast. R. Nunez says, it's all good, Sam. You could do 5,000-yard races or anything else non-metric. Yeah, as long as there's no metrics in there, I'm all for it. And Mark says that the boat horn was hilarious. Yeah, the Disney, you heard it in the background. That was definitely not planned. They usually do that when the ship is leaving the port or something like that, or they've docked. In that case, I think we docked into the port. But yeah, I mean, that's why we do things live. I don't know why everyone's obsessed with edits. The only times you do edits, and this is my opinion as producer Sam, one of the worst hockey producers of all time, but this is one of my opinions. You only do edits, A, it can legally get you in trouble, all right, so you don't get sued. And B, if the audio is so horrible that people want to turn it off, then usually at that point you just don't do edits, you just delete it. But last night, Danico's again. It's one of these things that it's not even Ken's fault. It's not even our fault. Sometimes these devices, they go bad. Mid-flight during the podcast, we noticed the audio issues, but when you're live, there's nothing you can do other than relog in, which Ken had to do, but still didn't work. I tried to clean it up on the podcast, on the Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and all that. I'm still investigating the Google Podcast situation, by the way. Just haven't had time. I've been a busy guy, as this is the last day of August. And do me a favor, we're trying to hit our download goals for August. So please download, rate, review, subscribe to our podcasts on Apple Podcasts. Download all the podcasts of August. I know a lot of people are still in vacation, summer mode. Mark Schaub, Super Chats from Switzerland. Going into our little vacation, no, not vacation, our road trip pockets. Thank you, Mark, for your donation to this fine programming called The Woo Report. I'm going to be late to work right now because I got a late start, still a little jet lagged. Actually, I'm not really feeling the jet lag because if I was, I wouldn't be doing this Morning Woo podcast, which right now we're on Scotty time, 5:50 a.m., but really Eastern Standard, 8:51 a.m. Eastern, as we are doing this live. So thank you for the super chat, Mark. Really appreciate it. And, every little bit helps. Every little bit helps because we have expenses with this podcast. We do. And it helps offset it. And the more we offset it, the more stuff we'll be doing because of it. So who knows? You know what? Maybe I'm going to have a tip jar at American Whiskey. Just one big giant barrel. Be like, here, help us pay for our plane tickets to Arizona. I don't know. We'll figure it out. All right, so let's see. Mark Schwab, I'm looking forward to the new season. Looking forward to everything with you guys. Michael Descala says you'll need ESPN 8 this year. I know. All righty, so getting out of here. Gonna follow me on Twitter or X at Primetime Sam Woo. One of these days I should do a photo dump of all the food I ate on my trip. Yeah. Anyway. All right. So I want to thank all those tuning in to the live Morning Woo as the Let's Go Devils podcast continues. Mark Love in the community here. Mark, the community loves you back. But we will lots of photos of Salazar Nunez. Very nice. But yeah, so just please download, tell your friends to download this podcast on the Apple Podcast. We got one more day, and we're lacking on the downloads. We're about to have our streak of 20,000 downloads a month or higher. It's a little personal thing, but I set a goal. We're not too far behind. But please, don't forget to download all of our podcasts. And if you have a friend that's a Devils fan or even a Rangers fan that wants to know what a real team is like, have them download the Let's Go Devils podcast. Please rate, review, and subscribe at Apple Podcasts. Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much. Hitting the music, trying to find the button, as per usual, getting into my mid-season form. Yeah, and also, I was listening to the podcast this morning on the replay, and very good interviews with Chico Resch and Ken Danico. And if you haven't seen Nick Villano's top 50 New Jersey Devils players of all time, go to pucksandpitchforks.com to take a gander, take a look. You could criticize, but you better back it up. All right. Thank you. Thank you to all. This is the Morning Woo on the Woo Report. Till next time, let's go Devils.